Hi there, folks. So Corinne and I are out here on some of the old forestry roads, trying to scope out a campsite for the night. As you can see, it's starting to snow, and apparently it's supposed to snow fairly hard for the evening. So we're hoping we're going to have a beautiful white blanket in the morning when we get up to do some photography in the morning. Unfortunately, it might actually completely negate any photography for this evening, because basically it's gone completely gray entirely around us. So we'll just have to see if things change from here.
Welcome back to the second episode of the Travels of Red Rover's trip to Flagstaff, Arizona. We woke up the next morning and had found that the wonderful snow had turned to rain. So although there was still some snow on the ground, it was a very, very wet morning. It was a pretty wet, gray day. However, the sun would peek out every once in a while, and we thought it would be really lovely to go and do some photography in the Cocochino National Forest, not too far from where we'd woken up in the morning. We spent the afternoon shooting reflections of the San Francisco mountain range at Buffalo Park. We then headed back up to Sunset National Volcano, spent the night, and then shot sunrise photographs there the next morning. And now let's buckle up and enjoy the trip.
Good afternoon. We're here in the Cocochino National Forest, just to the northwest of Flagstaff. And we are looking to see if we can find any nice little forest compositions for some photography this afternoon. It's quite overcast, but every once in a while the sun is peeking through. And the temperatures are just warm enough that the snow is melting and falling off the trees in clumps, so we have to watch what's over our heads.
Yeah, that, and it's snowing at the same time, so it's a bit of an odd afternoon. It's actually, just as we're talking to you, it's turning to a bit of hail. So it's been an interesting afternoon. I don't think the snow is going to last too much longer, so if we can't find some nice compositions today, it's going to be back to sort of standard forest floor, and it won't be nearly as interesting.
So we're going to walk around, see if we can find some compositions here, and we'll share with you what we find.
Take care. We'll talk to you soon.
I found a little clearing here, and there's a small evergreen tree that's quite a bit shorter than the other ones around it. So I'm going to use the green of the evergreen tree against the brown of the tree trunks to provide some separation. And I'm also going to try using a shallow depth of field of f5.6 to see if I can blur the background a little bit and draw the attention towards the small evergreen tree. Here's the tree I'm planning to photograph, and you can see that it's bright green, very fluorescent relative to the more mature evergreen trees in the area. And it's shorter, so it makes it quite a bit easier to fit in the frame. So this is how it looks in the camera. And I've done some adjustments for level and checked the histogram for exposure. So here I brought my camera in closer and on a slightly different angle, and I've changed to portrait mode. By being closer, that short focal length and the low f-stop should have a much better impact on getting more of the background blurred.
The other challenge with this shot is that right where I want to stand, I'm getting bombed by snow coming off the trees. So if you might just get to see a chance to see me get knocked in the head by a big pile of snow here. So the other thing I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hide one of the trees behind sort of the center tree here to actually give me sort of 3 trees to frame the shot, and see if I can sort of simplify the image a little bit. Okay, so I've taken the first picture. As you can tell, hopefully behind me here, you can see it's very flat right at the moment. What I'm going to have to do is wait for the sun to break through again, which may be in a minute or two. And if I get a little side lighting here and the sides of the trees start adding some light to it, it should be a relatively good shot. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of plain Jane, flat, sort of black on gray. So I've changed my framing a little bit, and I'm just wanted to emphasize the little green limb coming up. I thought it was more interesting than the background or even the tree sort of setup. I've got it kind of set up for a square frame crop, and we'll see how that works out. And right now the light is just starting to come through, so I'll just take my shot. So we'll see how that works out. So I've got the shot all framed up, and as I hoped, I'm just starting to get little patches of brightness coming in, and hopefully that'll start to show up in the shot, just in little kind of brighter black areas, if that makes any sense. So I've got my hood up. I've been banged in the head half a dozen times at this point. So I'm going to go try to find another composition. I see some stumps over to my right here that may be interesting. Have to go over and have a look. See if they will pan out. It's kind of a little treacherous walking through the undergrowth here because you can't really see it with the snow. Okay, so just a second, I'll show you what I'm looking at here. Okay, so I brought the camera up a lot closer, and you'll notice that I've also lowered the camera on the tripod quite a bit. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to set up the photograph so that a lot of the garbage that would be right down in this area is all hidden, and I'm centering the tree, and I'm using this tree and this tree to sort of frame the shot. What I might do later on in Lightroom is actually go for a square crop. In fact, actually I could show you what that looks like right here. So this is the way the shot would look with a square crop. And really at this point I'm pretty happy with it. I focused actually right on here. I'm going to focus right on that tree there. And all I'm waiting for now is a little bit of that side light to show up and see if it'll just brighten the scene a little bit. So that's what I'm going to wait for. Meantime, I'll take the sort of base shot so that I have it. Okay, and I'll show you the side lit shot if it should happen. So the light's gotten really flat, and Corinne has decided to focus on something a little closer and tighter, a little less dependent on light. You want to tell us what you're doing?
Well, there's a lot of brightness in the snow, so I'm trying to line up a branch of the pine tree against the dark color of the trunk and do a very shallow focal length.
Good. Sounds like an interesting choice.
Walking trail that connects up with some other trails as well, like the Arizona Trail. And there's a nice view of the mountains from here. And there's a little bit of a pond out there. I'm not sure if it's just due to flooding or if it's there all year. And we're going to maybe look at using it as a reflection. So here's where I've set up for late afternoon composition. You can see the peaks of the mountains from the San Francisco peaks over there, and this little pond in the foreground's doing a nice job of reflecting the peaks. The drawback on this is that there's a good set of antennae up on those mountains, so I might have to remove those in post-processing. It's a drawback with asking some locals for advice on where to get a good view of the mountains for photography. They sometimes haven't considered issues such as antenna on the top of mountain peaks. But it's a pretty location.
Hi folks. So I've gotten a significant step up. I now have a camera girl, so I don't have to try to handhold it in my own face. So, well, Corinne's taking the photographs here, or taking the video for me, which I really appreciate. So as you can see behind me, I'm taking a reflection shot of the mountain, and that's pretty obvious. And I'm using the two trees on this side and the big tree on that side as a way to frame the shot. And as you might notice, my camera has a whole lot of filters on the front of it. These are all neutral density filters, and one of the challenges shooting is that we just have a whisper of a breeze. So we want to slow the shutter speed down as much as we possibly can, and to do that I've got a two-stop ND filter on the front of the camera, and then I have to bring down the brightness of the clouds because it's a lot darker here than it is up there. So I'm using a two-stop filter, just a solid two-stop filter that I've brought down to the level of the bottom of the mountain, and then I'm using a four-stop soft edge filter to just take the edge off the top of the clouds and the blue sky there in the photograph. So with all that said, and then I'm actually focusing right now on these big bush right out here in front of me.
Good morning. It's early. Got up to try and do some pictures of the sunrise. And we're here near the Sunset Crater Volcanic National Monument. And over to the east there, that's the sunrise I'm going to try and catch. And turning around in the west, we can see all the mountains back there. Shawn's going to be working on the mountain view. I'll probably work on that shortly. Okay, it's just maybe 2 minutes before sunrise and all that gorgeous color is faded away pretty well. Just a slight bit of peachy tones on the horizon. And there was a little bit of color that showed up over this way near the mountains. And it's just going to start getting some glow on it as the sun's coming up, so that's going to be my next photograph. And I've switched my camera around so that now I'm in a portrait orientation. So I may do some panoramas. Well, we wrapped up our morning of photography here by the Sunset Crater National Monument. We're in Bonito Park, which is quite close to the highway. It's 89A?
89A.
Yes. And we had a nice sunrise today. It was good to have a little bit of clear weather for the morning because we've had so much cloud the last few days. It looks like it's going to be a gorgeous day today.
And as you can see, the San Francisco mountains behind us are absolutely gorgeous this morning. Again, we had a fabulous time up here this weekend. We got to see quite a bit. It was really nice being up here with fresh snow and being able to use that in the photography and seeing some of the monument actually while it was snowing. It was great fun.
Yes, we've done quite a bit of touring around, but It hasn't been a lot of miles, so there are 3 really nice locations well within driving distance of Flagstaff, so it makes an excellent weekend trip. You can cover all these spots in just a couple days.
Yeah, even in the wintertime, there's also some pretty good wild camping. You know, you need to be prepared for the cold. You're up at 7,000 feet in elevation, so it is going to be cold up here. Last night, the temperature got down to 28, 29 degrees Fahrenheit, which is chilly if you don't have a heater.
Yeah, we're pretty well situated that way. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our video, and if you have, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to know when we put up new videos, hit the notify bell at the bottom. And we'd really appreciate it if you'd consider subscribing.
Yes, please. Please subscribe. We're trying to build our channel. We hope you enjoy our content. And the best way to tell us that you're enjoying your content is a thumbs up and a subscribe. So that really helps us out, and we love doing this. And I know that you've been going through the learning process with us, and we appreciate your coming along for the ride.
Thanks.
Take
See you
care.
soon.
Bye-bye.